All right, so it looks like we're live. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us for the 2020 edition of the Sónar+D Innovation Challenge. It goes without saying that this year has been, let's say, a little bit special, but creativity and innovation never really stop pushing boundaries. In 2020, Sónar+D adapted to the circumstances by celebrating Sónar+D CCCB 2020 back in September, the outcome of which you can watch in video on demand on the Sónar+D website. And this year, the Sónar+D Innovation Challenge has taken place 100% online, and I guess now it's time for us to enjoy the final results. For those of you not really familiar with how the Innovation Challenge works, it is an accelerated innovation program based on creative technology and open collaboration between companies or institutions and top international talent. The way this works is that the institutions or companies sponsor what we call challenges or open questions to the creative community. This year, our sponsor has been the Future Pulse project, of which you will hear about briefly. And they posed a challenge on predictive analytics for the music industry. So we had an open call. We formed two amazing teams of creative individuals poised to address this challenge, which then got to work throughout the course of the past 2 weeks. Each team consisted of 5 challenges from the open call, as well as 2 mentors from the Future Pulse project. And during the course of the next hour, we'll be hearing more about their work. Now, before jumping into the results of each team, we will be first joined by Gonçalo Calvo of the Future Pulse project in order to hear more about the project itself, as well as the challenge definition. So take it away, Gonçalo.
Hi, Panos. Thank you. What a pleasure to be here presenting Future Pulse in this framework of the Innovation Challenge. We have been working for these 2.5 weeks with the teams, and you will see, I think they will show amazing results. Let me briefly introduce a bit what's Future Pulse and why we are interested on posing this predictive analytics for the music industry challenge. So Future Pulse is a research project co-funded by the European Commission in the program of Horizon 2020. We have been working hard during 3 years. And we are a number of partners working together. On the one hand, we have Soundtrack Your Brand, Playground Music, and Sónar bringing their knowledge as use case leaders, each of them on one market in the music industry. So Soundtrack Your Brand representing background music platforms, Playground Music representing the record labels, and Sónar live industry venues, etc. And we also have important stakeholders in the music tech. We have MusiMap providing, in the context of Future Pulse, audio descriptors, automatic mood recognition, tracking of songs. We have also IRCAM from Paris bringing their artificial intelligence algorithms for assessing genre classification. We have also from CERTH Thessaloniki, the Information Technologies Institute, working on social media, artist tracking, genre classification. Working also on predictions and trends. And an important partner as well, ATC, servicing all the backend stuff for the project and dissemination as well. All of this coordinated by BIMAT, based in Barcelona. We work on music and audio technologies as well. And for the project, besides coordinating the project, we have brought our music monitoring solutions for the music, broadcast, radio and TV, and venues as well for the platform. So this is the picture of all we are here. And in a nutshell, Future Pulse wants to be a solution for the music industry to help them take assessed informed decisions, okay, based on data and insights we can extract from them. No, so for that we get the data from music broadcast usage, music platforms such as YouTube, Spotify, etc., and also social media interactions. We build data models, ingesting the data real time. We have popularity scores calculated with all this data, and we have prediction engines as well to see how they will trend on the future, and providing recommendations and insights to the stakeholders, which, as said, are these three, but it's not limited to those. These were the ones we work especially in the project, as said, record labels, live music, and music platforms. Okay, so what we have done during these 3 years? We can more or less classify it in these 4 steps. No, one is data collection. So we can bring into the platform information of music usage from digital service providers, social media interactions, also music charts, all the music that is being broadcasted worldwide in radio, TV, or venues, and also bringing in public data of music usage and also confidential data of the clients that work with the solution. Then we have a vertical of audio analysis, where we can extract audio descriptors automatically, some very advanced descriptions like mood or genre classification, and also recommendations on based on playlist analysis of the audio descriptors of the songs that are on those playlists. Okay. A very important part of the project was assessing to obtain popularity scores for tracks, artists, and genres. Also understanding how popular are given artists on local scene in the live music. We have come up with a new score for track recognition, how well recognized by the audience is a given track, not how popular, but also how recognizable it is. And also understanding the trends per market, the predictions, etc. And finally, with all the data and algorithms we have, we made them available through an API. Also, we have built a web-based user interface as a demonstrator of all the power we have on the backend, with dashboards, with visualization tools, etc. And for example, we can see all the metrics combined in a single platform. So it's very intuitive to use and very convenient. And then we have timelines and track, artist, and genre comparisons to help the different music industry actors cope with all that amount of data and insights we can provide into the platform. We have done a lot of research, scientific research and market research, and we have published papers and deliverables you can find in our website if interested. Here in the scope of the project, we have made available the data through an API and a graphic user interface. So these are tangible results of our project you can play with. For example, this is a screenshot of the dashboard we have built at Future Pulse, and some, for example, detail of an artist. Here we can see in the same graph the Future Pulse score, popularity score in green, and the usages in YouTube in red, and then the Facebook mentions on these artists, for example, when dealing with the divorce, Cardi B, for example. These are some of the things you can see on the platform. So I invite you all to try it. It's open now, the demonstrator, with a public data set. So go there, app.futurepulse.eu, and give us feedback if you want, because we are a research project and also wanting to learn from you all. Speaking about the challenge itself, we have proposed the teams to create models and solutions identifying early popularity trends in music. And predictions, how trends will develop in specific demographics, influence groups, etc. And for that, we have made available the API for them, but not limited to, in order to identify the trend signals and incoming songs, artists, or genres. And of course, made them reflect on how all this data can be a tipping point for specific use cases. Okay, and then we wanted to understand how all these concepts could be displayed in or incorporated in solution, for example, with user interfaces. So yeah, the teams have done a lot of good work. And I hope you enjoy the results about this. Just last comment, these are contact details for the project, for you to know. So keep in touch. Thank you very much.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Gonçal. So now, without further ado, we will go to Rita Gueleta and the rest of Team A, which are Alberto González, Andrés Ferraro, Gemma Martín, and Sylvain Legrou, so they can talk to us about the work they did on this challenge. So welcome, Rita.
Thank you, Panos. Hello, dear listeners. Team A's project. Can you share the screen, please? Thank you. Team A project is titled Forbidden Territories, and our aim has been to tackle a social issue that is present in the music industry, which is censorship and discrimination. We have approached it from an objective point of view, and we just taken the data we had available and we extracted insights. From these insights, we wanted to answer the questions such as, what are the topics which are censored across the countries? What are the trending topics which are censored nowadays? What are the distinctive characteristics from the lyrics that determine the likelihood of being censored? The clues for these questions have been found by our team. So before proceeding any further, I will present our team members. We have Andrés Ferraro, who is a machine learning scientist and a PhD student in the music technology group. In the project, he has worked on automatically collecting the lyrics from the censored authors and integrating all the code all together. Also, he has worked on the parser and the deployment of the project. Gemma F.B. Martin, she's a scientist and inventor, also a psychologist specialized in the technoethics at the HCI, and she has a PhD applied in creativity, and she's a multidisciplinary artist. In the project, he has worked on the design, on the UX strategy, the website content, and the overall team organization. Me, presently, Rita Gueleta, I'm a data scientist, a designer, and event organizer. In the project, I have been working on creating the predictive models and also the data dashboard with some tools and also a bit of styling. Alberto González Pulido, he's an intellectual property consultant and an advisor, and also a specialist in commercial law right regarding the culture and freedom of expression. In the project, he has worked on the data compilation and selection of data samples, and also on the legal study applied to the project. Finally, Sylvain Legrou, he is an AI scientist, and a musician, and a psychologist. He has worked on the Freemuse parser, the Spotify playlist generator, and the overall website skeleton. So, having said this, later on we will provide you the link to our web application, so you will have all this information available, and also you will be able to play with the things we have created. So now I will share with you the video we have prepared for today, where we will explain all our project. I hope you enjoyed a lot. Let me share it. A moment. Perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to explain you the project we have been working 2 weeks. 5 highly talented and hardworking people, namely Andrés, Alberto, Sylvain, Gemma, and I, Rita. Our project is titled Forbidden Territories, and our aim is to visualize censorship across countries in the music industry. You may not be aware of this problem in the music industry, but it is of paramount importance and has got many implications, which Alberto will explain us more in detail.
As you know, freedom of speech and creative freedom are recognized in the 19th article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of UN. We have made this mapping to promote and improve the visibility of the censorship music around the world. For that, we have classified all the censorship data according to different concepts, like gender issue, sexual orientation, blasphemy, political opinions, or persecutions of offending minorities. On the other hand, we have done a manifesto to promote the protection of creative freedom around the world. Also, we have talked of the implication of censorship in the intellectual property moral rights, concretely in the visibility of the creation and in the integrity of the creation.
This was the answer to the question why. The second question is how? How are we going to tackle this problem? For that reason, we need to get as much possible data. Thanks to Future Pulse, we've got an amazing API which provides us lots of data on music, artists, but this is not enough because the domain of censorship lacks of data, and for that reason we have used the internet and we've scraped through the internet to get more data. More about that, Andres will explain us.
We collected and processed the information from freemusic.org, which is an international organization that advocates for freedom of artistic expression and cultural diversity. The information in freemusic.org is categorized by country. Therefore, we collected all the articles for each country and automatically identified the music artists that were mentioned in each article. After that, we collected the lyrics for the artists that we identified and also created a playlist on Spotify. In all this process, we use multiple sources of information related to music in the form of APIs such as MusicBrainz and Future Pulse.
Once we have the data, we have defined our solution. Our solution consists in 4 points. The first point is letting the artist to know which words in the lyrics, which words in what context, where or are censored in every country. The second point is letting the artist know which words and in what context in the lyrics will be censored. This is made by a predictive model, which predicts the likelihood of some lyrics to be censored. The third point is to visualize censorship through the collected data in every country on a dashboard. And finally, the last point is to visualize which words are the trending topics in today's lyrics around the world.
The censorship in music industry in this digital era is maintaining same stereotypes and same hate speech than before, as too many algorithms still have too many bias. We have tried to contribute to this problem with a solution focused on visualization and language through an easy and interactive website app.
The output of our report has been a web application which you can access through the following link. I strongly recommend you to access it through your personal computer rather than your mobile phone.
So first of all, when you open the application, you can go to the map section where you will find the world map. Here you can choose any country you want to visit and just click on Go to Stats to see the dashboard. Please don't be disturbed with those words you can see just right now. I will explain everything. What does it mean? At the left, we have the playlist with the songs of the censored artists from the given country, in this case, the United States. At the right, we can find a word cloud with the most common words found in the censored artist lyrics. So that's logical why we can find some words which may be found on toxic or obscene contexts. But the most interesting part in this section is the lyrics generator. It is not the same as looking at the most common words as looking at the most common syntactical structure in the lyrics. So we have created a statistical model which combines all the lyrics from the given country all the censored artist lyrics and creates a randomized lyric which doesn't exist in the real world. It is just an invention, but it uses the most common syntactic structures, the most common phrases, so that this allows you to have a glimpse on what kind of phrases appear in the censored lyrics. So you just press generate, you wait a moment, and it just creates you a lyric. So you can just generate as much as you want, and it will create different lyrics. In this case, the generator is not putting the break lines, but anyway, you can see more or less how are the phrases built in the censored lyrics. But this model is not the star model of today's show. The star model of today's show is the one found in the Query tab. This is the most exciting part of our project. We have created a model which uses the novel technology in artificial intelligence and deep learning. It uses as input text plain data lyrics. You just paste there your lyrics, and the model ingests text and processes each phrase, each word in a given context, and returns you the same lyric, highlighting in red the sections which are most likely to be censored. So if you get a phrase highlighted, the model strongly recommends you to review that section because it may contain obscene, toxic content, which has a quite high likelihood of being censored. If you get a lighter shade of color like orange or yellow, it means that it is not so severe, but please review.
To illustrate how our model does work, we're going to use some of the recently censored lyrics on Spotify. Be aware that those lyrics may contain obscene or toxic words or subliminal context, which may disturb you. But we're doing all that for the sake of making our society a better place. So you have been warned. Let's proceed.
It is important to mention also that this model works with many languages. It can work with English lyrics, Spanish lyrics, French, Italian, Turkish, and even Russian.
Having a predictive model is not the end of the path. We have also got a strategy and a business plan which lies behind it, and Hema will explain us about it.
We believe that not only musicians, big companies as Spotify, YouTube, or Twitter could be interested in that solution. If these companies could use this solution, a big amount of users, musicians, music industry could be benefited.
And that's all. Thank you. We hope that you have enjoyed our project and that it will be of real value in the music industry and it will help you to tackle censorship.
Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you, Rita, Andres, Alberto, Gema, and Silvan. That was really amazing. We will now be joined by the whole of Team A, as well as the mentors of Team B, who are Manos, Schinas from CERTH and Daniel Johansson from Soundtrack Your Brand. So we can have a brief Q&A session and some feedback. So go ahead, guys.
Hello.
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 Thank you very much for a very nice presentation. It was very interesting, and I think you have done a really, really good job using both the Future Pulse data and also other data that you have collected. I'm representing Soundtrack Your Brand, which is a streaming platform, Spotify-backed streaming platform for background music. So I have a couple of questions regarding that part of it when it comes to censorship and explicit lyrics and so on. How do you see that this solution can be used in the best way by, for example, a background music streaming platform?
Okay. Well, the thing is that
we don't want to be judges. The focus is not to say who can be in or who can be out. We just want to do a visibilization process. So we just want to say this is what is happening. So we want to show both points of view. So I think like the important thing of that is like the consciousness of that situation, not just to say you are in or you are out, because this will be a censor if we do that.
Yeah, the thing is that for our use case, which we have been working a lot with in this project, there's quite a big demand for getting rid of explicit texts. For example, if you're having music in a child store from a streaming service, or you're having it in even in clothing stores and so on, you actually would like to have a possibility to check a button that says that none of these kinds of lyrics will be available in this child store. And I think it's done a really, really good solution, because now pretty much has to be done manual, I would say. And now you have kind of automated this function. So I really see a good usage of it.
Yeah, we thought about it, and also like Twitter, for example, it is like sometimes they just censor some kinds of things, so you can see what is the censor and who want to have this censor, like maybe just little, like you said, little groups.
Yeah. I have, Manos, you can jump in as well. I just have one more thought about this, because I mean, this could influence actually already in the creative process of producing the music. So one could imagine having a plugin in Pro Tools or Cubase or Logic, where the artist is actually at the same time when they are doing the music, kind of, getting governed a little bit on where and how this could be, or how this could be met on certain markets or by certain streaming services. I mean, that would be a pretty nice plugin to have, I think, in the DAWs.
Of course, the artist can check their lyrics and see whether there are some sections which may be a bit of difficult or viewed frowned upon in some countries.
Yeah.
Indeed, you're talking about the streaming concept, and it's very, very clear that the censorship difficult all this process, because with this mapping that we have done, you can prepare it, because you already know how the censorship is in each country. You have a lot of information, a lot of data compilation of censorship around the world to prepare not only musical production, festivals, all this kind of work, so you can be secure about your work. No? It is really the final goal, the visibility of the censorship in the music industry to prepare the music industry,
It kinds of, I mean, this is a difficult question, but kinds of becomes an analysis of filtering and censorship to create a new level of censorship where you, in the production process, are actually handling the censorship. So it's kind of a meta level, but I mean, you could use it for another thing, and that is to actually test how well the streaming services and especially the distributors, the aggregators, are analyzing the music. So you could actually put in texts within a song and try to upload it and see how is the algorithms working, how are they tracking and filtering and so on. So there are many usages, I think, of this.
At the end, all the artificial intelligence tools are not aimed to take the decision for themselves. There's always, they give two options. They give the probability, and it's the human who decides.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have some questions too? Do we have time? Okay. I'm Manos Schinas. I'm representing Center for Research and Technology, and my lab focuses on multimedia knowledge and social media analytics. So my questions are about data processing. Of course, there are several improvements that you could consider for your project, like including music genres and see what type of music is, let's say, sensitive to censorship. But my main concern is something that is missing from your approach, is the time dimension, because censorship is not something static. So I played a bit with your demo, and what I can see is that many examples of censorship are from the previous years or even decades. So this is something you should consider, because I want to know the current status of censorship in different countries, and also to distinguish between, let's say, state censorship, that is an official and very serious kind of censorship, from the other kinds. So, do you foresee any way to include additional data sources to tackle this problem? Because if I understand correct, you use NLP to extract data from free text from the Free News website, correct?
Yeah. So I think we are in that process. We first automatically collected the artist from Free News, and then we were analyzing if, like, some articles were from many years ago, or maybe they mentioned as an example an artist that was censored some time ago. We were identifying it as a censor as well, and I think this like needs a manual process to clean let's say to select only the artists that we think we want to include, and let's say the cases that we want to include, and also that makes the model that we based for the lyrics more accurate. We were in the process of doing that, and we could clean some lyrics, something that Alberto did. We didn't have enough time to update the playlist, but it's something that we will do soon. But yeah, I agree that this is something that we should take into account as well.
Okay, thank you.
On the other hand, we wanted to focus in the censorship that it's right now, because it's the implication in the music industry nowadays. There is a lot of censorship, and maybe we can we can done in a way a historical line to focus in, but it's too much information, too much data, and I think that it is the first step to have another development of this project. But the first step, I think, that is useful for the industry, you know.
I also think.
And also we did it like in 2 weeks. Imagine in like 2 months.
Also, I think it would be very interesting, not only for the music industry, but also for, we had some comments from, I think it was from Manos' colleague earlier about what you have developed about having top lists, you know, charts. Which countries are banning the most tracks, or which tracks are the most banned around the world, or those kinds of things would be interesting, not only for the music industry, but also, I would say, for well, you know, free speech in general, and from a political point of view, to know exactly how it looks around the world. But of course, then you have to crunch a lot of data. But I think it was a good point that could be one way of moving forward as well. Yeah, I think you've done a great work. Do you have any question for us?
It was this, yes. Do you think it's another like industries could be interested in that? But I think you already told us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see where this will move, actually. So hopefully this will continue in some way.
Yeah, I think that this is the first step, and maybe we can work in a development of these lines, because I think that it is useful. And yeah, you have a lot of data that we didn't put in the project because there is a lot of information about it. So maybe we can have another lines of development in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you
Alright.
very
Good
much.
job. Thank you.
Thanks everybody. You get a +1 from me as well. I think it's just you've done some really great things and a good example of not just innovation, creativity, but also it has like social and ethical repercussions as well. Now it's time to see the outcomes of Team B. So without further ado, here's Livia Fioretti on behalf of Team B, who are Ananda Mele, Daniele Rosero, and Lorenzo Porcaro. So take it away, Livia.
Hi, thanks. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Team A for their amazing and relevant work, surprising. And I'll share the video in which we explain a bit of our project. But before, I'd like to define the roles that we had throughout the process. Ananda, she conceptualized and designed the interface that will serve as a platform to the live venue that interact with the data, as you're gonna find out in our video. Lorenzo explored how to use FuturePu's data's API for creating personalized recommendations to the selected audience. Danielle was responsible for a net-on to gather data from Facebook events and keyword search, and I was responsible for the qualitative data, the contextualization and creation of the narrative that held the project. So I'll just share my screen. Hi, welcome to Teams B presentation. Now it's our turn. We are Ananda, Lorenzo, Livia, and Daniel. Well, one thing that we saw in 2020 is what we thought it was impossible. The world stopped, and with it, we were forbidden to gather, dance, and celebrate. It was hard for partygoers, but it was so much worse for live music venues. Because of the pandemic, the physical distancing restrictions and limited capacity made it financially challenging, if not impossible, for most of them to organize live music events whilst keeping the costs lower than the maximum possible income. Just in Spain, last week, we saw 2 of the major clubs shutting down. The ones struggling are joining forces to celebrate one last concert that will unfortunately be digital today under the campaign El Último Concierto. And with no return dates for shows in sight, fans, artists, and live music venues are adapting to new ways of experiencing music together. And whilst the Flaming Lips are trapping their audience into bubbles, major clubs, festivals, and even resident advisor turn to live streams to get the attention of artists and audiences, creating engaging digital experiences throughout the year of 2020 that, well, not out of the blue, had made the live stream industry grow 99% in just 1 year. And of course, these new behaviors and all of this change lead us to new questions. And especially if, like, for instance, if people are willing to pay for these experiences. And surprisingly, the answer is yes. 2 examples are Stageit and Topica, that are live stream platforms that charge fans for bespoke mini concerts. They found new business models, such as charging people for the front row experience, as it's called, in which fans can pay to see and to be seen by an artist, which mimics some of the interactive qualities of a real concert, but also to try to sell cheaper tickets later on. The fact is that with all this change, one thing stayed the same, that are our expectations and our desire for entertainment and connection through music. And we know that because for this project, the past 2 weeks, we've wrote a qualitative research to understand these rising expectations and how the venues could feed them and fail to better connect with their audiences and other stakeholders, and also to improve their cash flow in such a trying time. On this, we understood that people struggle to find relevant live streams as there are so many offers. And at the same time, they miss the connection they had with the brands that offer the best memories, such as festivals, clubs, and music bars. On the other hand, venues, as we said, are struggling to find trending artists that are relevant to their audiences and under their scope with low or no income. And we thought that with all this information, the quantitative and the qualitative, Future Boost, we could help curate a service that not only helps live music venues to identify new trending artists that will please their audiences, but also gives a complete overview of their past gigs and the possibility to create a lineup with artists. My colleague Lorenzo will explain how we extracted that data.
Our main goal is to help venues make use of the huge amount of data available in the Future Pulse app. For creating lineups and live streaming tailored to their audiences, Future Pulse provides to the venues a lot of data about artists, listeners, and gigs. But maybe there is too much data. So, a starting point, let's filter a bit and see what we can get. A key point for small and large venues is to understand both the local and the global scene. We choose to focus on Spain, and more specifically in Barcelona venues, which in the last decades have provided to their audiences an extremely rich cultural offer. There are many venues in Barcelona, and if you like pop, rock, techno, hip-hop or whatever music style, for sure you can find a gig that you like most. For our demo, we focus on the Sala Razzmatazz, the one with more data in the Future Pulse app. But we think that our approach can help every venue inside and outside Barcelona. Now, how to make use of data for providing recommendations to the venues for their future gigs? We start getting data of previous gigs of a venue, and we focus on artist information, such their popularity in Barcelona, global popularity, and genres to what they are most identified with. Having such list of artists and features, we call the Spotify API for retrieving related artists. Similarity is based on analysis of the Spotify community listening history, a pretty well proxy in most of the cases. The last step is to aggregate list of related artists and match the ones more in line with the previous gigs of the venue. It is an hard task, because some venues are more into specific music style, others have an heterogeneous program. Some venues want to offer artists from all the world, while others may like to give more space to the local scene. As a data-driven tool, the most important aspect is to give the opportunity to each venue to customize the artist's suggestion, avoiding the one-size-fits-all model and instead valorizing the nuances of every community.
So early on in this project, we understood we had a very powerful data source to work with, but we were struggling to match the problematic we found in our research with the way the data was being presented. Therefore, we have decided to completely redesign the Future Pulse platform in a way that would become a clear ally to the venues struggling during the pandemic, through easy data visualization, but also through a more tailored information display. The new revamped Future Pulse will provide venues a very clear overview of their performance with the artists they have booked before, but also the correlation of artists that match their profile with general trends happening in the market at the moment. Let's imagine for a second we are Carlos from Razzmatazz, and we're actually getting a lot of pressure to generate new revenue streams to the brand, and also making sure that we are always relevant in the market and we're still remembered by our audience. We do, of course, have our tools. Carlos has his tools to find artists that match his profile. He's a very experienced curator, but he's just struggling to understand this big shift that it's happening from the offline to online world. And he's seeing that there's a lot of trends that he is not really catching because the artists he has booked before are very much focusing in the offline concerts. So he goes into the Future Pulse platform, and the first thing he will see is this artist match map. The artist match map will give him a direct correlation between trends that match his profile, Razzmatazz profile, and general trends. So if he hover over the circles, he will get more information about the artists. He will also see a generic trends to watch list, which he can filter by countries. He will also get a specific section where he can see artists that are booking tours, even in the situation that we are in right now, with a special detail of whether they are available for online concerts or are doing online concerts or not. He will also be able to see artists that he has booked before and how they're trending. This could be used maybe if they want to rebook the specific artist or if they just want to see how the artist is performing. He will have that on the first view. He will also have a list of playlists to watch, and this is matching again the profile of Razzmatazz. And he will also have a section to check specific lineups that he wants to have for his events and check also the score of that lineup. And I'll show you about the score in a second. So let's say he is hovering through the artist match map and he's curious about Julie Bergen, which is apparently a great match for him, but it's also a big trend in the general trends. So he will click into Julie to see more information about her, and he will get a full dashboard with the performance across different platforms, also the growth rate, the average song duration that she has, and the total listeners, along with some other key information. And he will also see a generic match score of the artists in correlation to Razzmatazz specifically. If he feels that Julie can be a nice artist for a next event where he's booking a few artists, he will also be able to create a lineup. Let's say he's going to create a Razzmatazz digital lineup. And once he clicks on the lineups that he has, he will get a general match score also for the lineup to see if the list that he's prepared of artists that he would like to book for that specific event is a good match for what they're looking for as a venue or not. Another very important thing that we added in the platform was the possibility of the venues to add their own API information and to make sure that they're also contributing to the data and to the community of the venues that we will use the data in the future.
So now that you know a bit more about the service that we wanted to add to Future Proofs, we would like to talk a bit about the next steps. That first of all, we would like to further investigate how venues are currently creating for new artists and using Future Proofs trend-related data to make sure that this solution is not overlooking any pain point. We would also like to help venues organize better digital experiences for their audiences, because this is a behavior that will definitely stay after the pandemic. Live streams can come to stay. So we would like to help venues from the ones that are more or less digitalized to take the most out of this moment. We would also like to map gigs and live streams audiences using Facebook data to make sure we re-engage and, for instance, recommend relevant artists to them that will come back to play at the club. I know that this might look a bit hard, but Daniel did it. So if you're interested, reach out to him after the session. But the point is that we all want to dance again. So let's help live music venues bring them back their audiences, get their cash flow again. And we know that Future Proofs can help them make that possible. So I do hope to see you soon on the dance floor, and thanks for watching our presentation.
All right. So thank you very much, Livia, Ananda, Daniel, and Lorenzo. That was really amazing. Again, he was hoping that we can keep on dancing and enjoying music, even if it's in our pajamas at home, and keep the clubs afloat in the process, right? So as we did before, we will now be joined by we have been already joined by the whole of Team B, as well as the mentors of Team A, who are Saki Markovic from Playground Music and Thomas Liddy from Newsimap, for
Hello.
some feedback and discussion. So everybody, the virtual floor is yours.
Hi guys, thank you for a great presentation. It was really up the Future Pulse alley, and I feel like what you created can easily be just another tab in our existing platform that people can reach for. I wanted to know more about the matching process that you do. I know you mentioned streaming data or listener data. Did you take any other data into consideration when matching the venues to the artists?
Yeah. The fact is that in the Future Pulse, we have seen that for several artists, there is also kind of popularity related to a venue, so the popularity in Spain or in Barcelona, and we thought that especially given that maybe venues wanted to call artists from that may lie in the city, we thought that this local popularity was important, but also genre-related information, style information, more in general. We know that are not always extremely good because there are some categories, some tags that are kind of useless. But as first step was the first idea that we had, and works quite a lot.
Oh, that's great, thank you. Also, I work for a record label, so I have to ask, do you see sort of an extension of what you have done where you can match artist to artist, or perhaps even have artists, DIY artists benefit from the system without the help of venues? I know this is a project for the venues, but just as an extension to use the model you have created.
Yeah, I think that, sorry, please, Ananda.
Yeah, I think we didn't really think specifically for the record labels, but we did think about doing a match between artists by using the information of the audience goers. So let's say an audience goer goes to Razzmatazz and he checked on Facebook event that he's going to that specific event. We could find the related events that he went to and do a match between the artists. So that was the first use that we thought of the data, but we can certainly think of other ways of doing this match.
That's great. That's really interesting. Thank you. I'll leave it to Thomas.
Thank you, Saki, and thanks everyone for this great presentation. I'm overwhelmed by both of the projects. What great ideas, and it's going to be very hard to judge here and select the winner. But yeah, let's get first to my questions. I'm Tom from Newsimap, and I also have a question towards the artist matching and the artist similarity approach. You mentioned that you go for now to check similar artists from Spotify. And yeah, as it was mentioned, this is mostly based on user listening history. So you would have, it will bring up alternatives of artists that are kind of popular already. So my question is going towards like, how can you capture more emerging artists? Like how to find the unknown, the jewel that will become popular soon. That's not at the end also a mission of Future Pulse, but here particularly in this aspect where you want to help the venue bring up something, someone really exciting. So the question is, have you considered alternatives? How can you go in this where you bring in either serendipity or something where you bring up emerging, not so well-known artists?
Okay, in this sense, I think that the Future Pulse data are much more useful of the Spotify API, because I mean, if with Spotify we can get, let's say, related artists based on the listening, Future Pulse data about trends, let's say, in both local and global scale, can aggregate, this data can be aggregated. And so another thing that we do when creating the list for a specific venues is kind of diversify the list, because for example, Razzmatazz is a venue where you can find a techno artist or a rock band. So it is important, as I said during the presentation, to creating a tool which can be customized by each venue, because maybe you want to diversify the list because you want different artists. Maybe you want only popular, or maybe you prefer not popular or emerging artists, and all this feature can be modify and set like as parameters in the recommendation framework.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah.
And just to add to that, we also added this specific feature where the venues could add their own API information to the tool. And I think it's something that if we promote it and motivate them to contribute to the data, we will have way more information about the small scale musicians in the area. So it's something that we definitely would incentivize future pros to showcase.
Is the platform usable already? I mean, of course, it's an alpha version, but did you build something that is demonstratable already to people interested in it?
We have a prototype, but we haven't really connected the data to it. Maybe we can try to work on it.
Yeah. I have one final question, and that is towards the end of your presentation. You mentioned that you also would like to help venues better organize the digital experience, like the online events. Have you thought already how would you do that? That's a very interesting thing to do, but I assume it's a quite challenging task, and I'd like to hear if you have some ideas around that already.
We thought about creating extra content to be shared in the platform or on social media, but the idea would be to help guide these, to help them set the live streams now that they have the content, help this organization of the touch points, and even trying to consider more interactive experiences, such as Club Quarantine, created by Resident Advisor in April, that was an interactive club, digital. So maybe we would our idea would be to create content around this tool, around this service, to help these venues engage their audiences in the digital stream.
Excellent. Really great. Yeah. Thanks a lot for this Q&A, and yeah, looking forward how all of this emerges.
All right, thanks everybody. I think we have a question from the viewers in the stream. Exactly, yeah. So Kali Vandali asks, but all these stats can be cheated, right? The pay-per-view and listen bots, etc. I don't know if you guys have any perspective of that regarding your prototype.
Yeah, just a note. I think it's important to say that this tool will not replace maybe not people working in the venues. So it's kind of a tool which can help and can give some insight, but at the end the decision will be made by people. So we think that even if maybe some data can be cheated or whatever, at the end of the process a person will call or will write an email to an artist. So I think that the final filter is the most important one, the one done by humans.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So, all right. I mean, I guess that's almost it for the Sónar Innovation 2020. I think that we're supposed to be joined by more people in the stream right now, right? Or maybe have less people in the stream. No, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, as I said, that's almost it for the Sónar+D Innovation Challenge of 2020. Can I get you guys to have some virtual applause for everybody's really good work here? All right, great. So before saying goodbye to everybody, we have a small surprise, slightly spoiled by Thomas, but it wasn't really hidden or anything. So this year, the SIG recipe is a little bit different from last year's. Since we have two teams working on the same challenge, we also have a winning team, let's say, although obviously both teams have done an amazing work. So we will be announcing the winning team tomorrow. So stay tuned to the Sónar+D social media accounts. And we'll obviously also be very glad if you, our virtual audience, can get in touch with us on social media, and let's make some noise for creativity and innovation online. All right, and see everybody in 2021. So bye, and thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.